Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast. I'm Robert Scrappy, your features editor.
And Rotten editor-in-chief.
Rutledge Doggett, site founder.
Andrew Stretch, the Antichrist editor.
Oh, boy, howdy. That's a good way to start this show.
Got a lot of angels and demons going on. I figured, let's double down. I think I've been the Jesus editor before, so.
I
feel like edited for Obama? Because from what I remember, he was the Antichrist. That's what the news was reporting.
Oh, yeah, God.
That's what your uncle who watches Fox News told you, right?
Yeah.
Well, did they also tell you? Let's roll right into news. So there's a game out called I Am Jesus Christ, and on Steam, I really want everyone to know this. This is why I'm bringing it up with the Fox News thing. Most games on Steam, when they're marketing themselves, they have snippets, quotes, reviews from websites. People quote from us all the time, and we love it. And this is the first time I've seen on Steam.com, steampowered.com.
That's it.
That the first review quote is from Fox News.
I didn't see that.
And it says, I am Jesus Christ, video game causes stir, which isn't even like a positive thing.
So that's so they know exactly what they're going for, if that's what they're quoting.
Yes.
Oh, and then the New York Post. Yeah,
then the New York Post. A new computer game called I Am Jesus Christ will allow gamers to roleplay as the Good Shepherd himself. And then IGN experience Jesus' miracles firsthand! !
Good old IGN, man. They're always there for you.
They're straightforward,
you know what I mean?
So now's the time that we need to tell everyone to pause the podcast, go watch the trailer, and then come back. Because this trailer is fucking incredible.
It's pretty good.
Yes. It's from the IGN Fan Fest from last week. It's a little short trailer where you get to see Jesus wash the feet of the apostles, and
among other things.
Among the other things, it looks like a Skyrim mod, right? Like
it kind of does with the two hands, and
you've got the eagle mode, or whatever powered up mode that your fingers are translucent. It's yes, now I can use my walk on water powers.
Mm-hmm.
That looks incredible.
There are over 30
he's healing the sick from inside their veins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are 30 miracles, 30 plus miracles. I assume that means spells, but the Jesus way.
Oh no, Jesus is absolutely a wizard in this game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is so heretical to say. There's a lot of Bible quotes about magic, and it's this shit is bad.
Okay, key features, guys. We got to go through this. Experience Christ's life firsthand from his birth through to the crucifixion and resurrection. So we're going full in the whole story of Jesus. Explore accurate recreations of significant locations, including Jerusalem. 30 spells, including the feeding of the 5,000 and walking on water.
I was going to say,
it takes a long time to do.
Yeah, 1 out of 5,000, 2 out of 5,000.
No, I hope that that's just you bring up the console and do /spawn fish.
While we're talking about his magic, I want to read you a Bible quote about what they say about magic.
Please, okay.
This is where they put the magic users. This is how they think of magic people. But the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magic arts, the idolaters, and all liars, they will be consigned to the fiery lake of burning sulfur.
But wasn't Jesus's whole thing that he hung out with all those people and he wanted to help them and shit?
I don't think he was I don't think he was I'm also out there murdering and being sexually deviant and doing all the acts you're doing.
Hey, have you seen the Da Vinci Code recently?
I don't know. I wasn't there. So
we'd be
yes.
if you were there, we'd
my
be
followers,
having a much
I am
bigger conversation right now.
Whoa. Like the Family Guy.
This man.
Dude, this game it doesn't feel real.
The crazy thing is, this is right after we've come out of games like Abandoned or this other recent one that I've already forgotten the name of.
And this one's coming back.
The day before.
The day before. We have all of these BS vaporware games, whatever, that try to hype up a big thing, whatever. You've just got to come at it with a better angle. Just say, yeah, you play as Jesus Christ. Here's some pretty possible gameplay. It doesn't look too bad. I think that the concept is ridiculous, but
doesn't look too bad.
Press L to walk on water.
Looks like dog shit. What are you talking about?
Well, this is for like, I'm expecting that this is like a single creator. Like this is on the same tier as like CGI in the VeggieTales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be better, but I'm also not convinced it's a real video game.
Well, they were actually only filming on the PS5 for that one. The PC trailer looks way better. It's got RTX on there.
They made a Noah's Ark game that's coming out.
Jesus.
Did you know that?
The same company,
They're
same
making
dev?
a Noah's Ark game.
Simula M.
Gameplay in that.
And they also made a game called Jungle House. I'm concerned about the racism of this one.
Well, and moon farming.
All of these games look, they're games, I guess.
I mean,
all of these games come out this year.
For all we know, their Noah's Ark game might have a better system in place than Skull and Bones.
Oh God.
They were at least able to release their ship game. Like, fucking come on, Skull and Bones. Where are you at?
Dude, that will be at E3. We will see it.
Maybe.
That'll be our number one thing. We have to see if they're there. Does it exist?
I'm actually not sure if this Noah's Ark game is a real game. Like looking at the trailer and the images, it
I'm not sure.
I don't know, man.
Either.
Hey, what does a real game really mean? Fuck you, buddy.
Fair. I shouldn't be a gamer gatekeeper, I guess.
Ooh,
it's art.
Well, they with this I Am Jesus thing, I don't want to be like stereotypical or anything, but they need a lady, and picture her yourself in your head to advertise this. It's just y'all need Jesus, and they need her going around.
All it needs to be.
They need that, and they need to just plaster that around the internet, and I'd be like, that's pretty good. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I feel like maybe like there's a prologue out. There is an I Am Jesus prologue that came out in December. I kind of wish I had played it now because I didn't know that it was a thing until I started scrolling through the Steam
Dude, do you
page.
think do you have to like brutally just watch him die as he gets crucified? Is that like?
No, you don't watch him die. You watch yourself die.
That's what I mean.
It's not he is Jesus Christ. It's
They just cut in the scene
scary.
from Passion of the Christ and call it a day.
What if you have to sit there the whole time and then the dude stabs you and like?
Yeah, I guess from a gaming perspective, it's not a very interactive scene.
Oh, you just sit there and like waste away
for 3 whole. You have to keep the game running.
Yeah,
for 3 days.
Did Kojima make this fucking game?
There's like a QTE to not stumble when you're walking with the cross. You've got to use the adaptive triggers and make sure that you're balancing correctly.
Almost like use your magic powers now, Jesus.
Believe it or not, the 105 reviews on Steam that are recent for this I Am Jesus Christ prologue, it's like mixed overall, and one of the recent ones just says the book was better.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Which one? Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John? Come on, you gotta be more specific. Some of them got pretty dry in the middle there.
I mean,
you're already ahead of me.
John's the most interesting one.
Oh man, I Am Jesus Christ. If you're interested in the video game, it's coming out this year allegedly. He will rise, and you can play on your video game machine. God, this game looks so weird.
I'm just trying to think of like other miracles he performed that I would just like love to see attempt to be done. I think all of the highlights are really like the Old Testament, like when
he's just
God
an alcoholic,
like a real fucking guy.
Do you think the beginning of the game is gonna be like a 2-hour carpentry session?
Oh man,
could be. There's a time that he shows up to the church and converses with all of the smart holy men and fucking schools them. That could be like a Ace Attorney-esque sequence when they're like, well, because God said this. Objection. God never said that. He said this instead. Get like bombastic animations going. Yeah. I'm imagining how this could be a fantastic game.
I would be way more interested if it was that. Jesus going around just arguing with people, schooling them. Because you have to pull out scripture and be like, but what about this? And it's like, you have the overreactive fucking.
I feel like it would actually make people read the Bible if that was
if they're smart, that's what they want.
Play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, maybe this needs to mix with the video game, the Bible. They do like a crossover, right? So you have to like read the passage and then go back into the game and execute on it.
Oh God!
Is the Bible out yet?
You start seeing computers at churches.
I think it's been out for a couple millennia now. I
don't think it has been out that long, sir. A couple millennia? I don't think so.
At least 2.
Nope.
You're
saying they wrote the Bible when Jesus was alive? Get the fuck out of here.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know this shit.
Mark wasn't even written until like 100 years after, probably.
I mean, the Earth wasn't even invented 2023 years ago. We know that's how old America is.
That's true, yeah.
You can buy the Bible on Steam right now for $15.
Oof.
Or just go to your local motel and steal it.
Yeah.
It's just like the idea of being like, oh God, it's so unchristian, the idea of selling a ripped off copy of the Bible for $15 on Steam.
Yeah, no one sells Bibles nowadays.
I mean, all of it's fucking just capitalism.
Wouldn't there be licensing there of some kind? Like some weird...
No, it's out of the commons.
Yeah. Who owned the license? Jesus?
I have no idea.
Maybe that's what you find out in the game, is that the end of it is him trademarking the Bible in perpetuity.
It's him and Walt Disney, the two companies fighting for unlimited copyright laws.
Mm-hmm. Oh, is the final boss like Mickey Mouse? Like they fight to the death?
Was it Mickey and
Kingdom
Minnie?
Hearts would get real weird.
You gotta have feeling like on the arc.
It's feeling like a South Park episode now. Like
it is. Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, at least South Park's never touched Jesus. They've never ever portrayed Jesus in any of their episodes, for sure.
No, literally the first cartoon they made was about Jesus and Santa fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. that was before the show was even made. That's what they made.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go into something that is not surprising. Did you know, apparently, allegedly, according to documents from the UK's CMA, that that putting a game on Xbox Game Pass leads to a decline in sales for about a year-ish? Did you guys know?
Not even remotely shocked.
Mm-hmm. But this is after Phil Spencer, Mr. Xbox himself, has said that no, that's not true. Putting a game on Game Pass is good for money.
I wonder if he meant good for money for the devs.
They have said that it boosts sales. Specifically, he said it boosts sales of those games that come on Game Pass, which we know now is not true at all.
Mm-hmm. Because these are documents from like a governmental review.
Well, they're Microsoft's own information.
Yeah. Right.
Straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, it's from Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they count sale, like it's a tricky thing to count in terms of like actual sales, but you can track player count. And I wonder how much of that was they weren't actually looking at the sales numbers and just seeing the player count being extremely high.
I think that's one of the things that's like kind of misleading a bit about this is that for some games, like, will it lead to fewer sales? For sure. But are there some games on Game Pass that never would have reached that amount of sales anyway? They're getting paid by Microsoft to be on Game Pass, whatever that might be. Like they've already got the money they likely would have got anyway out of it.
Right.
Like, so is it bad for games like that? Probably not. Mm-mm. And there's been so many devs that have said no, like that Game Pass like saved us. Like that's why it worked.
Yeah,
so,
I saw somebody.
There's good and bad.
I think the No More Robots guy, they did Descenders, right?
Yeah.
He was tweeting this week about how every single time there's a Games Pass thing, Descenders comes up in some way, shape, or form. And then he kind of followed up by saying, like, well, we're going to keep taking the Games Pass deals because it gives us enough money to fund the game without having to worry.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, like, it's kind of like Epic in terms of I think the mindset when it comes for developers, at least from the business side, like getting that guaranteed upfront money, you know how much time you have to develop. You can complete that game without having to stress about, oh, we need to go do this license aspect so that we can get money here while we're building over here. Like it's a no-brainer. I mean, like
it kind of falls into the same idea as like Kickstarter, but instead of getting the upfront money from the customers, you're just getting it from the publisher. And yeah, like No More Robots pretty much said in as many words, like, if we release a game, it's going to be Game Pass. Like, that's just the plan. I definitely think that there's some smarter ways to go about wording the benefits of Game Pass, because just saying leads to more game sales, you know, it doesn't take anyone to look at that for too long and go, what? How? Like that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
Are those people playing more games that have Game Pass? Yes. Are they purchasing Game Pass? Yes. But you know, they might be buying DLC. I know I bought the anime DLC for the Taiko Drum game that was on Game Pass.
I did that with Forza. I upgraded.
Yeah, because the Game Pass doesn't come with the DLC usually for things.
It comes with whatever the base game is in most cases, and then if you want more, get more past there. Which, if you've made a solid game and it's on Games Pass, somebody plays all the way through, they're going to be more likely to buy that DLC from that platform.
Right.
So,
and I think this is just kind of the beginning of that shifter, because you know we've always talked about how Microsoft is playing a different ball game than Sony and Nintendo, right? I think at this point to them, the key metric isn't sales; it's minutes played, hours played. You know, like it's very much like the shift Netflix has made to the movies and TV space, where it's not how many Blu-rays did this movie sell, it's how many hours was watched of the latest Netflix original or whatever, right? Like that's the key metric. And I think right now in the gaming space, that's not quite the key metric across the board, but I feel like that's one that the Xbox people are watching pretty closely to measure whether Game Pass is successful or not.
It's one that Sony is also watching very closely, because you know they like to show off how many more of something they have sold, how you know, whatever X game has sold this many copies. I can't remember the last time there was like a positive sales tweet from Xbox related to like player count that wasn't a this many people have purchased the game instead of this many people have played the game.
Xbox is definitely leaning more into the played statistics little by little. I think they're realizing it is a valuable metric. But it also skews the numbers, right? For a release like Forza that is on Games Pass, but most people are going to play it there because you're already on Xbox. And if you're on Xbox, you're probably in Games Pass as well.
I think, that would be.
But you can't see true sales numbers because unless they're sharing data that's like, you know, of X number of Games Pass subscribers, this many played the game, and then this many purchased it, you know, on disc or whatever. That's where the data is going to start getting really weird, I think, over the next couple of years.
Or even for them to say this many people played it, this many were purchases, this was how much through Game Pass, to see what that percentage split is.
I would love to see that data from them. I know they won't share it, but that would be like fascinating to look at the difference for the last like 6 months in terms of sales and played on Games Pass. Bro, I would lose it in that data, just trying to understand and like wrap your head around how much that changes things.
Yeah, or some data that I'd really be interested to see now that we're about 3 weeks out from it, like Hi-Fi Rush. How many people played it on Game Pass? How many people purchased it on other markets or on Xbox itself, right? Like that is one I'm really curious about, because I think it was so easy to get swept up in the like, oh, it's out right now. And if you already have Game Pass, like there's no barrier to entry except downloading it. So I'd be curious how many people jumped on to play it, like of the Xbox Game Pass subscriber base.
Yeah.
I'm sure that split would
also Steam numbers too.
I'm sure that split would also be so wildly different for like the AAA versus the indie. like for Hi-Fi Rush, I would totally imagine, if I was to pull a number out, that like you'd be in like the 70-80% range played it because of Game Pass. But then for something like Forza, I would feel that it would be like maybe 40% was through Game Pass, or 50% even was through Game Pass. Kind of like which game tends to do. And I mean, that's probably data that they have internally that they are showing to devs to be like, this is your type of game, your genre, your scope and scale, and this is how many people hopped onto that.
Right.
Here's how much money we can guarantee you, basically.
It brings up an interesting point of visibility for those that choose not to go the Game Pass way too. Like, how much are they getting? Not necessarily fucked over, but like you obviously, just by getting announced that you're coming in Game Pass, that's coverage of your game itself. Well, just being on it, and the games that aren't going to get that kind of thing. So I don't know. And obviously Microsoft is choosing who is and isn't coming to Game Pass, right?
Right.
So it's an interesting question of if they're curating the stuff and kind of almost choosing who is and isn't going to be successful. I know it's not as simple as that, but more for a lot of things, more or less that's what it is, because so many fucking games get released. Not all. There's tons of great games that don't get visibility.
I'd love to know
they're kind of choosing the winners.
Yeah, I'd love to know their curation process too, because they
have
actually
a pretty
just
have
wide
video
range.
game Donkey there, giving thumbs up, thumbs down. It's wild.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Because like, from a curation standpoint, there's been some pretty small games on Game Pass too.
They've picked up some stuff that I hadn't heard of. That's pretty good.
I mean, because they kind of have to walk that fine line, right? Because like they're really the trailblazers in this video game Netflix like model, where they have to kind of be a Criterion Collection and something, you know what I mean? Like, because it's not great for the overall subscription service if it's like, but there's a lot of dog shit on there, right? Like they need to have a pretty strong library.
That's why it's an interesting question of where things go, particularly for these smaller games that are looking for avenues of success. Because like something like Steam, it's already so hard because there's so many fucking games that get released every day. And it keeps getting more and more every year. More games come out on there,
and half of them are anime titty games. So
so it's hard.
Or BDSM Hitler.
Yeah, that's right. Or
anime titty games. Yeah,
awful shit. So if we see this more popular form of getting games to people, or providing a service of, here, let me give you you have access to X games. And if you're not on those, there's just going to be more games left out in the cold, where it's not going to be viable as much anymore. Obviously, I'm thinking more into the future, not immediately right now. There's plenty of stuff for people to do. Right. But as we go further into the future, I wonder what that will mean if there's just fewer options for success. Meaning these bigger companies like Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo or whatever are having more of an impact on who and what games people get to see and play.
Right.
Makes you wonder.
I think like go ahead.
Even if you have like no marketing yourself, the fact that you're on Game Pass means that you're going to be on the dashboard on the console. You're going to be part of the multiple tweets from the Xbox account, the Xbox Game Pass account, the PC Game Pass account. You'll likely end up in a sizzle reel somewhere. You'll be part of at least 2 or 3 Xbox blog posts. Those are huge channels to be on, and to be in Game Pass. It just immediately puts eyes on you, and it is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be more eyes on you than if you just release on Steam, like, and just out of nowhere, right?
And I'm hoping Steam finds ways to, like, I think Steam Next Fest, the like Build Fest, the different fests they're doing throughout the year, I think are helping maybe elevate games.
Anime Titty Fest.
Yeah. Well, like I was looking
at that's all year long, baby.
Every day.
Yeah. I mean, I've been looking at my radar's pretty wide in terms of what we look for coverage wide. And so sometimes I'll come across a game and be like, man, this game looks fucking cool, but nobody's following it. And there's only so much coverage we can do as a site. And there's things I want to do on the indie front, but like, it's been interesting seeing some of these ones that I typically see very, very small and then they're a part of Steam Next Fest with a demo, and they jump like 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 20 to 30,000 followers. So I think it's going to be pretty critical for platforms outside of just Game Pass to find ways to do something similar. Or I don't know how the indie ecosystem as it is can continue to sustain the rate of releases that it's on right now.
Steam is definitely the most viable place for stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, it accesses quite a few devices, like of all ranges. So, yeah.
Well, that it's become just part of an expectation of the platform. Like what people go, that's what you get when you go there.
Right.
Like when people say PC gaming, they think Steam.
Steam
and that's like very much more powerful in the mindset.
Which is why we keep seeing a lot of these other, like, people will spin up their own game client and it blows up in their face. It doesn't work out.
You telling me
Steam is a titan?
EA Origin wasn't that great?
I played a game on EA Origin this week.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is still a thing. It is still a thing to access certain games.
Yeah. Soon it won't be.
Yeah, I guess they are moving a lot of stuff to Steam. Like, didn't Apex Legends move to Steam like a year or two ago?
They have that new EA app.
Oh, yeah. The new version is just called EA app, but it does the same thing as Origin.
That's basically
Origin. What I played the game on.
Yeah. Okay. So not really Origin.
No.
It's they made it look nicer. It's like, how Steam used to be like that kind of crappy flat gray, and then they like made it look pretty. That's kind of just what they've done.
Oh, they made this look pretty.
Yeah, they turned Origin from Windows 7 to Windows 8.
RTX on.
Yeah.
RTX on. Okay. Good to know. Speaking of these large companies, Ubisoft, let's shift gears to them. They have had their finance calls in the past week or so, and during those calls, we've learned that they will for sure be at E3, which, like 3 years ago, that wouldn't have been news, but just considering that E3 is weird this year, has been weird, but is weird again. So Ubisoft will be there, and they've also teased that they have an unannounced large game coming up that is not Assassin's Creed and not that Avatar video game.
Ooh.
There's also been word that the plans for the Division 3 have been scrapped. So it's likely not that.
Hopefully it will be a Splinter Cell game. I know it will not be.
That would be great.
It won't be.
We also know that they have the untitled Star Wars project that Massive is working on.
That's true. That would be pretty massive for them to show.
Oh, I get it. Do you think it's a Division style game, but play as 4 Boba Fett's?
I hope not.
That probably wouldn't be too bad.
The dichotomy of Star Wars fans. There are two kinds of Star Wars fans.
I mean, my first thought was like, if you get like some good like patchwork machinery or like working with like jetpacks and stuff and make it like a better Anthem.
Could be a better Anthem. Could also be a Division game. Yeah.
No.
But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be weird. I'm curious what they're gonna have at E3, because I feel like Ubisoft has just been kind of, I mean, as we've covered before, right? They've been kind of on a downward trend recently, with the CEO being like, balls in your court. And I'm sorry I said that, but yeah.
If we fail, it's all your guys' fault. That's what the big game is. That's what I was about to say. It's going to be open world Rayman.
Open world Rayman, where you have to climb towers. That's
right. You climb towers to reveal an area to complete challenges.
Honestly, a Rayman world go back to, or like a remake of the first Rayman with all of the weird fucking worlds, like the music world with like the spiky notes. That was a visually gorgeous and unique game, and they've never gone back to it.
PS1 game. I don't think there's any gorgeous PS1 games.
Yeah, I mean, gorgeous for the time, if you want to call it that.
They all looked like shit.
Oh, Stretch is thinking hard. He's trying to find
Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9, baby.
If it's a 3D game, it looks like shit.
Yeah, my immediate thought went to like Lunar Silver Star Harmony. because that's a gorgeous, got like full pre-rendered anime cutscenes, and it's all 2D pixel art. That's a pretty good looking PS1 game.
That 2D I could see happening, but 3D, there's no good looking 3D PS1 games.
Yeah, that was like the awkward acne puberty era of the games industry.
Very bad.
Yeah. Like nothing looked pretty then.
When you see like old Final Fantasy VII screenshots, like fucking A, that game looks like garbage.
I wonder if Ubisoft's new thing could also be like a Rainbow Six of some kind. I feel like they're always trying to come out with a new.
Maybe. Like, I would hope they're smart enough to know that it's like a relatively niche market.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're always pumping out something new for it, right? There was Wildlands,
popular.
That the game that was called Quarantine, and then COVID happens, or like it's called Extraction now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just weird that they have something that is like something like Splinter Cell. It's like people have been very vocal about it, and it did sell well as far as I know. And then it's like, nah.
I didn't realize. Genre too. I didn't realize that Roller Champions actually came out.
Oh yeah.
I don't even remember what this game is.
That was the like fast-paced roller derby game. Yeah. We could like go all the way like up the walls and do tricks and stuff.
Oh, I vaguely remember this at like PAX, I think.
Yeah, it's free to play as well. That just entirely disappeared.
Well, I think we all know what Stretch is doing tonight. It's going to be the one lone
He's
player.
already got it downloading.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Ubisoft is just in this weird place where like they don't have much goodwill. Like only the hardcore of hardcore Assassin's Creed fans are still on that train, you know?
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see their E3. I feel like this is going to be kind of make or break for them. Well, not make or break, but it's going to be,
I think make or break is on the money.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't think like they need this to set up whatever potential success they're going to have, or
they need to stop going so Ubisoft and go Ubi hard.
Exactly.
They're going to rebrand at E3.
Will that be their new division of adult gaming? Ubi hard, and that
you'll be hard.
Right,
you'll be hard.
The new big game is another Leisure Suit Larry.
There we go. Big game, baby. Oh man.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Man, I don't know. I'm also just very curious what E3 in general is going to fucking feel like.
It's going to be a weird year.
Yeah, it's a very weird year. Yeah.
For it.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Me too. Yeah,
It's going to be curious. A new The Crew 3. That's the big game.
Remember the Crew? That was. I forget. Was that leaked or announced or both?
I don't know.
I don't know. Our last bit of news here, going to Activision Blizzard, Diablo 4 is getting an open beta and also an early access beta. If you pre-ordered the game, you will get early access beta on March 17 through 19, I believe, and then the open beta
24th through the 27th.
Exactly, or 26th, I thought.
Or 26th,
yeah. So just 2 weekends,
Friday
like a weekend,
Sunday.
Yeah, weekends apart. You can play up to level 25 in the game, and it encompasses like the prologue and Act 1. After you hit the level cap, you can keep playing, but you won't like make progress necessarily. And it's on the PC, on consoles, both Xbox and PlayStation. Diablo 4.
This is, I feel like for Blizzard, this is their like one, like they're seeing it as, all right, this will get us back in some good graces, hopefully. Like, please make just people like remember that we make good shit. But I don't know. I mean,
are you saying Overwatch 2 isn't good shit?
I would say, yeah, people were really happy with all the changes they made with that. I heard they really enjoyed the stuff they did to it.
Everyone's very positive. Everyone loves that battle pass. The battle pass is so good. And I can't wait for the battle pass in Diablo 4 because that's going to be a thing in a full $60 release.
I hope they try the Real Money Auction House too. They've new and improved. Hopefully.
I hope they don't. I hope they at least learn something from what was the Immortal? I was gonna say like
the mobile
different.
game.
Oh,
Yeah, like I hope they learned at least from their community, like, hey, maybe don't do the paid upgrade bullshit, and hopefully they won't do that in this one, or that's gonna be a hard.
I would
balance
assume not. I mean, like that was a very mobile-y way to do things.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I don't think we know what's in the battle pass yet, right? I know there is going to be one, just don't know what. But I'm struggling to think of what could be in it that's enticing, because I've always felt like Diablo, the whole, like even the cosmetic part of it, a lot of it's like you grind to earn the thing you want and then you transmog for it, right? Whereas like if you can you grind a level battle pass 50 to get that cool armor, it's like, I don't know. I kind of feel like that takes away the fun.
There's I haven't played it in a while, but Diablo 3 was getting pretty big with the they did a lot of seasons stuff, and you could be basically grinding or working towards getting a unique kind of armor set that had unique effects that you could do stuff with, and when you're getting towards the really far end game of Diablo 3 anyway, it was like having the right armor set on or having a certain effect that does certain, like, was a big deal, like changed a lot of your run and the certain kind of enemies that you would do well against or not well against, and how you strategize for that for whatever class you're playing. Right. So my guess is it might be more along that, because I know people liked that generally, because it was like, if I had a new thing that did X, Y, or Z to this ability that I liked, it kind of, you did change the game somewhat how you're playing it.
Right. But does that feel good that you have to pay, I don't know, $20 to unlock the battle pass to then grind out the thing? Or you can pay for all the levels, which would cost you what, another $60 or something?
Yeah. The seasons paid in 3?
No.
I was gonna say, I don't think they were.
They might do something really smart, like with what Fortnite does, and like, you know, you generate enough premium currency by completing a season to obtain the next season.
They didn't even do that with Overwatch, so I'm not confident in this. Like in Overwatch, they just added in the recent season that you can earn currency, but it's not the premium currency. It's currencies you can buy the old Overwatch 1 cosmetics. So it's not even the good one where you can buy the next battle pass.
How did they have something that worked so well for so long, and then they just shot themselves in the foot?
Greed.
Money.
Money, yeah.
Money.
Absolutely wild.
Yes, I have very little faith in whatever this battle pass is going to look like for Diablo.
I hope it's not crap.
I can't comment on Diablo 4 as like a video game, like whether just the core gameplay of it is good or bad. It's kind of hard to say.
As long as it doesn't launch like 3 did, I think they'll be all right. But if it launches like 3 did again, they'll have completely lost all goodwill.
3 was great. I really enjoyed playing it on my Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, after the major like Realm Reborn patch, I'm sure.
I don't know. Would it be a Blizzard launch without it being a really rough launch? Come on.
Yeah,
they're all kind of rough.
I expect there's going to be some memes about 1 or 2 specific error codes that everyone's going to get.
Was it error 37 before? Was that what it was?
Yeah, something that was the big one.
Yeah. I'm sure we're going to get something like that again in Diablo 4. It's just, it's not a Diablo launch without it.
Yeah, we all got to talk about how we were there in the trenches together.
News team on standby for the launch time.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Diablo 4 is still coming in June, right? Like June,
early June, like the first week. Yeah.
Because it's like what, first week, and then 16 is like the end of the month.
Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks later. In June, so.
Yeah.
No, Rut, 16 is the middle of a month. A month normally ends on about 29 or 30, sometimes 28.
Just wait a second. Usually ends on like 29. No, 30. No. Every 4 years, one ends on 29.
Yeah,
that's fine.
They usually end on 30 or 31.
Are you using the Australian calendar?
Yeah, that's it.
They just remove a day.
Yeah, you just get a siesta at the end of the month.
There's the great
Spanish calendar.
There's the great movement of the kangaroos, which is 1 day a month that just like no one can go outside for fear of their life. So we just don't even count that. That's just like a black day in between 2 real months.
I get that's understandable. I mean, it doesn't sound so bad. But yeah, that's Diablo 4. If you're interested, the open beta starts next month, or if you pre-order, you can play it a week earlier than everyone else, and then play the real game on June 6th. We'll see whether this will redeem Blizzard. Is redeem the right word? I mean, I don't know if there's
at least turn some positive heads their way.
Step in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna get redemption from a good RPG video game, but
I used to be someone that played a Blizzard game probably almost every day, or at least several times a week. Not just WoW. But I don't think I've touched. I undownloaded or uninstalled the Blizzard launcher like years ago and haven't played anything in. It's been at least 2 years probably.
Wait, how do you play Call of Duty then?
Yep. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm all that indicative of other people. I don't know. But Diablo 4 is the first thing where I've been like, well, maybe. So
yeah, I think that's the power Blizzard has right now, is that even though they've had some rough couple years, like both from a reputational perspective, but also their video game perspective, right? Like just the video games themselves are a little I feel like Blizzard has that power of, but you remember the good old days? You remember when you were in college and you had nothing to do, so you played WoW for 20 hours straight? Like that kind of
shit. I did that in high school.
There you go. So I think, people, there's that connection they have, right? Where I'm sure every time they release an expansion, there's always that group of people that come back, play it for like 2 weeks.
Oh, for sure.
Stop. But I think Diablo 4 is probably gonna have that same thing, because maybe not as many fond memories of Diablo 3, but Diablo 2 for sure. That there are people that
and the Diablo 2 Resurrected's done really well. And people seem to enjoy it. And for as much shit as Diablo 3 got, like people are like, oh, I only played 150 hours. This game sucks. Like fucking what?
It's still 150
that's what was always funny to me. Like this game is bad. It's like, dude, you played it a lot.
And even then, like after that first couple years, like after that big expansion they released, like Reaper of Souls or whatever that was, like by that point I think Diablo 3 was kind of tuned into like, it's not quite Diablo 2, but it is still a pretty competent
popular
action RPG.
And Diablo feels like a little bit more of a momentous release for them because they happen so infrequently.
Yes.
So it's a bigger thing.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna start seeing some more impressions in March, because I know that some press has gotten like early access like a couple months ago to cover some stuff, and it seems early promising, but who knows, right? Like Diablo is one of those games that lives and dies by its end game. Like the game doesn't really start until 20 hours in, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So well, let's shift over and talk about another live service game. Rut, you've been playing Riot Games' Valorant.
Yeah, so we're between like
who's Val and who's Ant?
They have not released those characters yet.
Yet.
Yeah. So I typically play Hunt Showdown, and we're between seasons, which is usually kind of like the sort of boring time, because you go from the entire map is on fire to it's just back to normal.
And how does that differ from the rest of, like, isn't it all boring time, or
it is a slow paced game. Well, if you're playing it right, if you're not Summit just charging in and getting yeeted.
Fuck you, Summit mains.
That's funny. That's funny.
Guys, I'm hard.
That's pretty good. Not familiar with Summit. Huh?
What brought you back into Valorant? What pulled you back in?
So I mean, I'm a former CS:GO addict. Made it up into the LE ranks, which was pretty high at the time. And then they changed the whole meta, and I quit. But I have a very fond love for the team-based shooters, like Counter-Strike, Valorant,
Splatoons.
Sure, haven't played it. And Rainbow Six is probably the other big one in terms of having this set team that is built around specific characters or guns specifically, and then having to work as a team. I think adds a whole different dynamic to a shooter. So we jumped back in. It's been oddly positive in terms of every time we've gone back to Rainbow Six, it's too toxic and we quit after a day. Rainbow Six got really, really bad when we quit. But like Valorant has been a bunch of people being goofy for the most part, which has been refreshing. But I mean, with Games Pass, you have access to every single character and stuff like that. And so that was a big driving factor as well, like checking out the new operators. But yeah, I'm just getting back in and kind of having to relearn everything in terms of the meta, how to manage your economy, all that stuff. I don't know, their system is really well done from a user experience perspective too, which is a driving factor. In how they offer different call outs. Like on the map, it gets easy to learn because the overlay actually gives you the name of every single area. Right. Which in something like Halo or Call of Duty, like you just kind of make an assumption of what it's called. So jumping back in felt less daunting 3 years later.
Right.
So
but this is still like a pretty hardcore, like time to kill is really fast. Like there are people who care about bullet spread. It's like that level of,
For the most part, yeah. I mean, I'd say from a time to kill perspective, Hunt is much faster. I mean, it's a lot more realistic, but the speed of games like when we first started playing, it was purely just unrated and competitive, and that was it. And deathmatch, I guess. Now they have like a shorter version that is first to 5 instead of first to 13. So you don't have to have the same level of time commitment as a 13-win match that can be, 45 minutes to an hour. It's still not Counter-Strike that's 2 hours, but you have these smaller chunks that you can play in as well.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's something I've always felt Riot was pretty good at with their games is that, there's the big one, like you can play a game of League, and that used to be like anywhere 40 minutes to an hour, depending on how shitty everything was. But like over the years, they've kind of fine tuned it where like the average is maybe more like 30-ish. You can play them faster, and then they have like the shorter game modes.
Casual game.
Yeah.
Not Dota 2's for the real MOBA people.
Yeah, if it's not a 2-hour match, you're not playing it right.
If it is a 2-hour match, you're playing it very wrong. Something terrible has happened.
Yeah. But it's good to see that they're doing something similar with Valorant too, where it's kind of like more you can choose your length of game.
Yeah, they offer a lot more options, I think, than Counter-Strike is purely that. I think that's the big separator, is that Counter-Strike is purely about the guns and a very specific meta and a specific way to play every single match. Whereas Valorant, with the different operators and abilities, there's no, I don't want to say consistency. Like I could play DDoS 2 in Counter-Strike and the match would go pretty much the same every single match in terms of where people are placing themselves, what guns people are picking up. Valorant, I couldn't tell you. Like it all depends on who's on the opposite side and who we have on our team, because every ability can, be an instant game changer.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying your time with Valorant. I'm glad Game Pass is giving you the freedom to explore your favorite operator. So it's just another one of those perks, right? Stretch, you've been playing Monster Hunter. It says here Monster Hunter Rise.
No, I'm not much of a Monster Hunter player, but I have been getting into Wild Hearts. Rolled credits on it last week. It's a really fun game. They did a good job of taking that Monster Hunter format. They really don't care too much about the story. There's some pretty cringe VO in there, but the gameplay itself is really solid. 8 weapons to learn. You get a whole bunch of little summonable tools and stuff that you can use to kind of deck out and change up each of the 4 maps of the game. That it's no longer just you drop in, but you can place down bases and campfires and grapple lines and stuff to get around faster.
Also, like Death Stranding.
Yes, I've seen the comparisons to Death Stranding, which is like, it's not incorrect. It's weird, but sure, it's comparing it to Death Stranding is up there with saying that it would be like the Dark Souls of a Monster Hunter game or something. Yeah. But it's really cool. There's some like really neat elements that work really well. Like all of the monsters are like fusions of like a beast and some kind of natural element. You're not going to get like big fire breathing dragons or this or that, but you get like a gorilla that can summon lava rocks, or a rat that has a flower bulb on its tail that will like create vines. But it really, I'm a huge anime fan. It came across extremely Studio Ghibli to me.
Oh, but you're killing the giant beasts.
Well, yeah, no, like when you're the bad guys in Mononoke, but it's still Ghibli.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. They do some fun, neat stuff. The VO though, it does that very cringe thing of like, oh, we're off to hunt another monster, Ikuzo.
Or, wait, they in the English dub they say Ikuzo.
Yeah. So they drop in like it's only ever like a single word. They also, anytime it's a Japanese word, they'll fuck with the intonation as well. So it'll be like a character speaking normal English and then just the tone of the way that they speak. So we were out there and it was so crazy. This giant kemono showed up and it's just like, what's going on? Or like there's an arigato every now and then that's thrown in, and just like very small things.
This is a game for the weebs. Finally, a game for the weebs.
Yeah. No, it just is. It was weird to listen to the dub.
Weebs are eating good lately. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah. I'm curious about with Monster Hunter, like there's 18 weapons. There's a lot of weapons. I forget exactly how many, but it's like even if you play through the game focusing on one weapon, if you play through it again with a different weapon, it's like it feels like a totally new game in a way, because you're learning a whole new skill set. It's like kind of like learning a fighting game character. They all feel extremely different. Does that kind of feeling carry through here in Wild Hearts, where like if you play it with one weapon type, switching to another just changes the whole game completely?
Yeah, definitely. I played through the majority of the game with like the katana that you get at the start, because I'm someone who likes to get in and hit faster with like a DPS kind of class. But then you've got some other kind of basic classes. You've got or some basic weapons. You've got like a giant hammer, and that's just going to be slower. You can do a cool move where you start doing like hammer throw spinning, and then the handle of your hammer extends like 4 times its length, and you just become like a spinning top of death. But then they've got some pretty unique weapons like the bladed the bladed umbrella, which is a slower, shorter range weapon, but like any monster charging, like you can parry them, which is really cool. And you can parry and stun them, and then you get a couple more hits on them when they're down.
Right.
And then there's also a bow staff at the end that like alternates between 5 different forms. But the forms are always like one after the other, after the other, after the other. And to build up the special bar, you need to be doing combos and swapping. So at one point it's a bow staff, then it can turn into 2 tonfa, then you can turn it into a shuriken, and then as you build up its special bar, it's like final attack form is that it like becomes a giant like buster sword, like the width of Cloud's sword with the length of Sephiroth's sword. And then you can just do like a giant sweeping smash down. And they are
kind of rad, not gonna lie.
All super different. The upgrade tree is really broad as well. So kind of even if you start with the base katana, as you split and diversify and pick up different abilities, some abilities like you can only have with that type of weapon, and others you can like inherit from the previous ones in the upgrade chain.
Gotcha.
so I had one at the end that was like not just the katana, but that I would have a 40% higher chance of like removing body parts, which is of course good for better loot. But also I had a different ability from somewhere else in the upgrade chain that meant that every time I broke off a body part, for a certain period of time, I would do 20% more damage.
Ooh.
So you
Okay.
can then kind of take a look at the upgrade paths, see what does and does not carry over. And at any point, it's just a fee of gold to disassemble that down to whatever point, and you regain everything that like you used to upgrade it. So
Okay.
even if you did like start out with a brand new weapon, if you wanted to like just recess your previous weapon, then you can dump that all in and end up with like an end tier level weapon, having only paid a couple thousand gold or like 10,000 gold, which is not much.
Yeah, that's a pretty good system, because that's one thing I felt with like Monster Hunter, where if you wanted to switch weapons, like the further in you get with one weapon, the more work you have to do to kind of switch to a different one. So it's nice that you see you can like kind of revert things and convert it all.
Less sunk cost fallacy.
For sure. And you have a review out, right, on our site?
I do. So if you want more info, you can go check out the reviews. If you're playing it, then you can also check out our guides. I am blanking on what I gave it.
A wild heart out of 10.
Give it an 8.
I gave it a 7.5 out of 10.
There you go.
The other really frustrating part to it, which is something that you want in these kinds of games, multiplayer. I was dropping inputs left, right, and fucking center. And like I've got really good wired internet on my PC. You know, for the like the summonable mechanisms, it might be that like you need to summon 2 boxes and then a spring and then another 2 boxes and a spring to like they'll all fuse together and become something more powerful. Like you can have like a targeted grappling line that appears. So when a monster's trying to run away, you can be like, nah, motherfucker, get back over here.
Very Scorpion.
But when you're trying to do those inputs quickly and in online, I was getting things placed in the wrong direction, placed in the wrong order, and it just did not feel good.
Yeah. I wonder if that's like a server side thing, like maybe after a couple patches that'll.
Well, it's P2P, so they
on...
can't fix it. That's I mean, yeah, they can probably do some stuff to increase the stability, but dropped inputs on peer-to-peer are going to be harder to fix than a server issue.
Right. Boy. Yeah. Well, this is Omega Force, creator of the best game ever, Dynasty Warriors 4.
True.
From what I
hear.
You.
Thank you for making sure that got in there.
I want people to know. Yeah. Just thought I'd be sure about that. But yeah, this is Omega Force making the game, which, you know, I mean, you probably know them more from the Muso style games where it's kind of mash a button and just kill 1,000 enemies in one hit kind of a thing.
Skillfully kill people, yeah.
Yes, whereas Wild Heart seems a little bit more methodical in its approach.
There's still definitely some like wild fucking moments. And it does feel faster paced than some of the other Monster Hunter games that I've played. But yeah, definitely not a Muso game.
For sure. Well, I have a game that I would like for us to play. This is a group game. There's interaction. Yes, I brought a little quiz show to our.
That's right. He did warn us about this, but we don't know what it's about.
I kind of forgot.
Yeah, well, you're gonna get ready to enjoy. So I'm gonna call this game "Who's That Sujimon?" So with the new Yakuza game coming out tomorrow, as of the time of publishing, or if you bought the deluxe edition, you can be playing it right now. There's Like a Dragon Ishin out. It's it's the Yakuza games, the Like a Dragon game set in the samurai times. But to kind of celebrate it, I'm pulling up this game called "Who's That Sujimon?" where in Like a Dragon, like the 7th Yakuza game called Yakuza: Like a Dragon, before they rebranded everything to just be Like a Dragon, the turn-based RPG one. It's very heavily inspired by Dragon Quest, but there's also a section of it that's inspired by Pokemon because you meet a character named Sujimon Sensei, who's trying to catalog all 252 of the enemies you will come across in his Suji Dex. And when you first meet him, he asks you to pick a character to learn from first. And there's a red Sujimon, a blue Sujimon, and a green Sujimon. You pick one, they all get mad at you, and you fight them all because it's the Yakuza game. But what I've done is I've scrolled through all 252 of the Sujimons in the Suji Dex, and I've created a little quiz show for us to play where you guys are going to guess which ones are real or fake, essentially.
Oh,
Okay.
Just by their name?
Yes. And I'm going to tee up some questions. So, like, you know, it's not going to be completely blind, but, you know, it's just a little fun game. You know, you don't have to get everything right. There's no prize at the end.
I'm excited.
Oh, it's pretty fucking good. So, Like a Dragon, Ichiban and his party fights all sorts of Yakuza. Which of the following Yakuza bad guys are not in the Suji Dex? Which one is not in the Suji Dex? The ornery Yakuza, the eloquent Yakuza, the drunk Yakuza, or some other Yakuza?
Okay, so some other Yakuza, that's got to be a red herring. No way that drunk is not a thing. Ornery, I'm gonna go with elegant. I think elegant.
I think it's the ornery Yakuza.
It's the drunk Yakuza is not in the game. There is some other Yakuza.
Wow.
Yeah. So I hope that sets the tone for the kind of shit this.
So wait, the actual name of it is some other Yakuza?
Some other Yakuza is the name of that Suji Dex entry.
That's fantastic.
Do the some other Yakuza have like special abilities, or
no? He's just some
other.
They
Yakuza.
Just like
some other Yakuza guy. So that's just basically a Yakuza, is what it's saying, right?
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So that's the level we're going at here.
All right. Well, man, this is impossible.
Okay. So in much like the Pokédex, there's kind of evolutions of enemy archetypes.
Beautiful.
So of the juggling enemy family, which of these is the final evolution? Struggler, Thuggler, Juggalo, or Druggler?
That was pretty good.
They are all in the game. Just which one's the strongest?
All four of those are actually real.
Damn it. Can you read them out again?
Yeah. Struggler, Thuggler, Juggalo, Druggler.
We'll go with Druggler.
I guess Juggalo?
I was thinking Juggalo also.
Juggalo is the king, prince, clown.
Yeah, that's what it kind of felt like.
Yeah.
Does it have face makeup?
It does.
Do you get into battle with it?
It's full clown. You do fight it, and it's juggling shit and throwing it at you.
That's beautiful.
It's amazing.
This is why the Yakuza series is like an S tier series, man.
Would you say that the Juggalo has some kind of insane clown posse?
He might, because there are other clowns in the game, I think.
Do they just like pull up thesaurus and just instead of insane, it's something else crazy?
I think they just had a lot of fun with the
I'm
names.
sure.
So here's another one. Okay, of the following four, which one is a real Sujimon? Sir Kicks-a-Lot, Crazy, the Notorious VIP, or MC Slammer?
And only one of these is real?
Only one of them is real. One of them is actually in the video game.
I've got to give you kudos for making up the other three at this point.
They're all pretty good. They're all pretty good.
I think MC Slammer is real.
That was where mine was going too, was MC Slammer.
Yeah.
The Notorious VIP is the real character in the game.
Wow.
This game has some really weird shit. Okay, here's another one. Which one of these is not a real Sujimon? Emperor of Funk, Captain Cruncher, Otaku at Arms, or Panagra Pharaoh?
I am 100% convinced Otaku at Arms is in there. That one is for sure a Yakuza thing.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first two again?
Emperor of Funk and Captain Cruncher. Then there's Otaku at Arms and Pornogra Pharaoh.
Say Captain Cruncher.
Captain Cruncher is wrong. is not real.
I was thinking Captain Crunch. I'm gonna go. What was the Emperor Funk?
Emperor Funk.
Yeah.
Trick question. All 4 of those are in the video game. There is a is a pornographero.
That one I was for sure too.
Yeah.
Also.
So yeah, what is the context of the pornographero to show up?
I am not actually sure. I've never run into it in the game, but it's just
I don't
in
know.
the studio.
They would. I mean, in Yakuza 0, they had a dude that would just dance in his underwear, and he was always like, "Hey, get me all this shit."
Yeah, like, wasn't it?
I can't remember his name.
There was the panty. There was like in Judgment. There was like a 3-tier like panty thief story where it's like there's like they all had different names, but there was like the king panty thief stealer.
There's all kinds of shit.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Which one of the following 4 is a human being? Man-eating loan shark, Catherine, man-eating beast king, or Clara and her excavator?
What the fuck is this game?
Only one of them is human. Man-eating loan shark, Catherine, man-eating beast king, Clara and her excavator.
Catherine's definitely not human.
There's no way.
I'm gonna go with the Beast King is human.
I'll go with Lone Shark.
I think it's the excavator because I think it's
Lone
just a
Shark
lady and an
is
excavator.
Well, Rut got this one. It is the man-eating loan shark is the human. Any bonus points if you guys can guess what animal the other 3 are?
Catherine should be a sheep to reference hit game Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
Catherine's a cat. It's in the name.
Catherine's a bear.
Oh.
You have to think of enemies that they would fight in the game, right?
Well, I could believe them fighting a cat.
Yeah.
The Beast King might be a wolf.
Beast King.
What if a wolf was a cat?
No, that's the cat.
It's a tiger. It's
tiger.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I feel like you guys are never gonna get Clara and her excavator because that one is just silly.
I think a horse.
What's a very? It's an elephant. I don't know.
I got nothing.
It's a chimpanzee in an excavator that you have to fight. You fight the excavator with the chimpanzee in it.
I knew. Didn't I say it's gonna be someone with an excavator? I knew the excavator was actually part of it. I knew that.
Can you? Can you sumo throw the excavator?
No, I think with the big enemies like that,
suplex it. Yeah, like
there are multiple excavators in the game. This is not the only one you fight. You do fight a wrecking ball at one point.
They have a whole big old like construction thing. Anyway, that's been a thing.
Yeah. So you just beat the shit out of it. It's
amazing. That just reminded me. We didn't. Did you guys? Now that we're talking about Yakuza, did you hear? Did you see that story of where was that in the world? I wish I could find that real quick. Where there was major companies battling over this shitty little alley for real estate, and I was like, oh my god. Yakuza Zero's real. That was the whole thing. It was all about this shitty alley where like they needed that for the thing, and that was an actual like
life
thing that's happening
art
right now. I can't remember where it was happening. That's amazing.
Like a Dragon is reality. We're just living in it.
Yes. Anyway,
yes.
If you don't want to play that game now, go fuck yourself. Is all I gotta say. It's amazing.
I mean, it really is. The Like a Dragon games are fantastic, and I can't wait to play Like a Dragon Ishin.
Yes.
You know, it's samurai time, so it's not like, you know, modern day with everything, but you still get a revolver, so
that's so rad. You don't use a gun in the Yakuza games, but now you do. And in the samurai one you do.
Makes total sense.
I mean, it's like late 1800s or 1860 samurai or whatever. It's, you know, guns
the
are
end
around.
of the samurais.
Yeah. The Americans have landed in Japan, the Dutch and all that.
Oh,
yeah.
Fucking Americans.
So this is like 1890s.
Yeah, I think so. Well, it's getting pretty late into it. But that, I think, wraps us up for this week's episode of the TechRaptor podcast. We hope you enjoyed. We hope you had some laughs. And if you did, please hit the like button if you haven't, hit subscribe if you haven't, and let us know down below, what's your favorite enemy from Yakuza Like a Dragon and why? And why is it Clara and her excavator? Because it's fucking fantastic. If you want more of us, we're always publishing news, reviews, features, etc. at TechRaptor.net. Or if you want more of this show, we will be back in your feed next Monday, and we will see you then. Bye.